In the end, though, a great week and a great night for him and Matchroom and for boxing and for DAZN and for everyone involved. Didn't end on the note that a lot of people wanted it to end on, but can't deny the success of the evening. Wanted to talk to Eddie Hearn about it all. He's kind enough to join us now. Here he is, the one and only Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how are you? Good to see you again.
How do you look that fresh, Ariel?
Fresh as a daisy. A lot of people didn't think
Seriously?
I'd be here. I'm back in my chair Monday.
You are combat sports Benjamin Button.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Like you, work ethic, we have to outwork the others. There's no days off here, right?
Well, I think the problem is when you're lacking general ability, the only way you can win is by outworking people. That's how I look at it.
That's right.
So there are people that are smarter than me, but they can't work as hard as me. So I take my hat off to you, my friend. You are a grade A hustler. Good to be back in. Good to be back in a factory today.
I appreciate it. By the way, we've been talking a lot about one particular story in the UFC where a fight was announced for a champion, and the champion said, "I never agreed to this fight," and was blindsided. Like he just found out on Twitter that the fight was happening, and then was kind of smeared for it afterwards. Like was pretty much said that he's like a malcontent because he was throwing a stink about this. Have you ever announced a title fight involving one of your champions before they at the very least verbally agreed, if not signed? Have you ever done that before?
No.
How would that go over?
Be ideal,
how would that go over if you announced Canelo?
The contracts are different. I mean, that can be anything to a miscommunication between management, right? There has been situations before where you would agree something with a fighter's manager. Sometimes you don't know behind the scenes that actually the relationship between the manager and the fighter has dissolved and the communication is gone. Do you know what I mean? So and then a fighter might come back and say, whoa, hang on a minute, I haven't agreed it. It's like, well, hold on, we've got confirmation here from your management and your manager or your agent. So no, that's a bit of a strange one, but those contracts are different. Ultimately, there are things you have to accept, I guess. And that might have been a case where, I don't know anything about it, but it might have been a case where, an email was sent by the UFC to management, say, just to let you know, this is the fight details and we're going to announce, and maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the way you're spinning this. I don't think that's what happened, but nevertheless, I was just curious if you were ever in that position, if you ever did something like that. Saturday was a night I'll never forget, a week I'll never forget. I just want to ask you off the bat, you called it on Twitter the most enjoyable fight week maybe of your career, considering how it ended now, because you said this before the fight. Your feelings changed towards it?
Yeah, I just think the hypocrisy of boxing is unbelievable.
Okay.
It's like everybody moans that the fights aren't tough enough. Everybody moans that the challenges aren't big enough. And then when a fighter gets beat, it's like, oh, she shouldn't really have taken that fight. It's like when AJ boxed Usyk. Probably, if you want to keep him safe, if you want to avoid dangerous fights, he should have vacated the belt. If you're in the sport for legacy, if you're a competitor, this is just what happens. The amount of people today that have said to me, and Conor was one of them after the fight, oh, why'd you put Gary Cully in with that guy? It's like, that guy's lost 3 out of the last 4. He lost to Tyrone McKenna. He lost to Sandor Martin. If you are a world-class fighter, you beat Jose Felix. It's not, yes, it's dangerous. Oh, he's a bit of a puncher. So what? So what are you going to do? Never fight a puncher? And for Katie Taylor, it's like, you are the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the sport. So, yes, she believed she could beat Chantelle Cameron. But we got an unbelievable fight. It wouldn't have been the same week if it was Katie Taylor against, she was 100 to 1 on to win against someone you've never heard of. This is about, and we're lucky to have people like Katie Taylor. I think that the week itself was incredible because of the feeling and the welcome from fight fans who are passionate about the sport, who have been starved of boxing there for 7 years. And as a promoter, the one thing that I want more than anything is to people to leave the arena and remember the night forever with a smile on their face. Now, I know that the disappointment of her losing, but I promise you, all 9,000 that were in that arena will never forget that night. And you win, you lose. That's sport. We shouldn't be afraid to lose. And now we move on and people say, oh, straight away, as always, it's like, oh, well, that's the end for Irish boxing. It's like, whoa, hang on a minute. We're going to do the rematch probably in October, November. We're going to do another massive night. And then, but if you don't win, you don't win. Sport. You can't protect yourself and just keep winning. Then we get criticised either way. So I loved the week. I loved the night. I'm delighted for Chantelle Cameron. She boxed fantastic. And, A new star is born for women's boxing, and Katie Taylor probably won't sleep properly until she gets in that ring again to try and avenge that defeat.
And I want to ask you about the rematch, the potential rematch in a moment. And I feel like I know what you're going to say, but just for the record, is there any part of you that regrets making this fight?
No, because ultimately, for a star of that level, I would never even choose the fight, or I would never tell a fighter to take or to not take a fight. When the Serrano fight fell through, Katie was adamant that she would fight Chantelle Cameron, and she would have her homecoming. Once she calls that out on social media, I mean, firstly, I couldn't, and I wouldn't, but there is no way I go to Katie Taylor and say, Katie, just thinking about this, I think this is quite a tough fight. Like, why don't we have an easier fight? When she called it out, I got so excited. I thought, wow, what a fight. I don't want to sit there putting a show on without my heart beating through my chest, the nerves in that arena because of how tough we knew it was. That's the first time on a ring walk, honestly, like the hairs were standing up on my arms. I actually felt like my eyes were welling up. I was looking around at ringside, people were going like this, like as if to say, and I think that might have been part of the problem because Katie looked exhausted in the first 3 rounds. I've never seen her like that before, So, no, I'm delighted that we made the fight because it's the best be the best. And that's what sport's all about.
Did you have a chance to speak to her afterwards, like in the locker room or anything like that? And I know she spoke in the ring, and she was talking about the rematch right away. But just like when the doors were closed, how was she handling it?
Yeah, she was devastated. I mean, when I saw her in the lift, actually, we went down in the lift and I walked to her with the car, and she was sort of gobsmacked. It was quite a trippy experience seeing her lose, wasn't it? It's like when they announced Chantelle Cameron, it's like everyone's like, oh my God, Kate Taylor's lost, and she was quite shocked with it all. And I said, how are you feeling? And she went, absolutely feel like, I said, listen, now's the most exciting chapter of your career. And she said, it doesn't feel like it. She said, it feels like a bad dream. I said, but you're going to wake up. I said, does it hurt? And she says, so bad. And I said, great. That's all we need to know. I said, because the moment it doesn't hurt, then it's time to hang up the gloves. I said, if it hurts, if it eats you up every day, I said, you've got to live off this pain now till this next fight. It's got to eat you up every single day of your life. And she's like, yeah. And I knew it, and she says, we'll win this rematch. I said, that's what I want to hear. And every day, as I said, it's going to be painful. These next few days, she's going to be the most unhappiest person on the planet. She'll smile. She'll be wonderful around her family. She'll continue her faith, but it will be eating her up inside like the competitor that she is. And she'll come back stronger, and the rematch will be epic. And she will believe she can win the rematch, on the basis of that fight. There's so many similarities in this fight to Canelo against Bivol, in the sense that Canelo comes up a weight, gets beaten by the bigger man. Now everyone's saying, don't rematch her. You can't beat her again. Now people are talking about Bivol coming down to Canelo's weight, which Chantelle Cameron's also saying, I could do that and try and become a 2-division undisputed champion. There's so many similarities, and, it's a very dangerous fight. And when you're in this position for Katie, all of a sudden, this is, the amazing turns of the sport. You lose again. Could be retirement. But I mean, back-to-back defeats at this stage in your career. And that's the same problem Canelo Alvarez has. If he loses to Dimitri Bivol again, all right, maybe you can pop down back to 168 and fight somebody else. But for Katie, you've got the Serrano fight there. But right now, the Serrano fight's right at the back of her mind. All she's thinking about is Chantelle Cameron and revenge. Beat Chantelle Cameron, Serrano rematch. You've got all these other fights. Lose to Chantelle Cameron. All right, you can maybe come back down and rematch Serrano at 135, but you're coming off 2 defeats. So now is a really key moment. And this is, when people say now, and I go back to things like AJ and Canelo, I don't have to say to go to these guys like Canelo Alvarez and go, hey, Sal, really think it's a bad idea, mate, for you to fight Dimitri Bivol again. It's up to you. That's why you got a training team. That's why you got management. I love it because you're an underdog. Katie Taylor will be an underdog in the rematch for the first time in her career. Great. We've got to stop worrying about protecting great fighters. Let them try and be great. And if they fall, if they get beat, let them try and write another chapter. That's what I said to her. I said, you imagine you come back now and win this rematch. would be one of the greatest moments. I mean, would certainly be the greatest moment of her career for everything she's achieved. That's how you got to look at things. You know, you can't mope around. Got to use that to drive you and the excitement. You know, another chapter in the story.
By the way, did you think Cameron deserved to win? Did you score it for her?
Yeah, I mean, I probably could have made an excuse for a draw. Like if I was being super, the fact that I was probably looking at it on a generous point of view, and we're in Ireland, right? But if you said to me, "There's only one winner of this fight," I have to say Chantelle Cameron. I thought she won 6-4. Really, I thought Katie started terribly. I thought she looked so tired, and I couldn't understand why. But we kept saying, didn't we, when we had our discussions, Chantelle Cameron has to ignite this fight early. She ignited it in the first 30 seconds. Do you know what I mean? And normally you'd expect Katie Taylor to be 3-1 up after 4. And it was the other way around. Actually, remarkably, Katie rallied really well in the middle stages of the fight and won a lot of rounds and probably won the 12th. But she did look tired, you know, and I think that's something she has to address. But I hate as well, we always look for the reason rather than saying, wow, Chantelle Cameron was unbelievable. Got it perfectly right with the game plan, executed it well. Her engine was fantastic. She threw, I think, more than double the amount of punches of Katie Taylor. You know, she was incredible. And she's just beaten the undisputed 147-pound champion and the undisputed 135-pound champion. So you have to bring her into the conversation as the number one pound-for-pound fighter in boxing.
I know before they announced the scorecards, everyone was like, "Oh, she's gonna get screwed. It's boxing. Fucking Hearn, he's rigging it. All this shit, right?"
I was waiting.
It was waiting. But then the right person wins, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's move on." Like you don't get the same, right? There's no big hullabaloo over that. Then they wait for Haney to win, and then they go, fucking boxing. No, they got it right, and I think they should be celebrated for that.
Yeah. Do you know that I think that because most people felt Chantelle won, I think that it might, you know, it's never a fighter's fault, whatever way the scores go. But sometimes the fighter can get the blame in their career. I've seen it, you know, many times. A bit like Devin, right? Now, for the next few months, for the next fight, everyone's just going to reply to him on social media, reply to every post. "Oh, you got a gift. You're a joke. You robbed the Lomachenko." That's not his fault. And actually, the reality is sometimes it can work against a fighter. If Katie Taylor would have got that decision, I think she would have had a lot of criticism. It's not her fault, but I just feel like, you know, most people felt Chantelle Cameron won the fight. And if she hadn't have got the decision, then everyone would have said, "Oh, you know, Katie's got another close decision. Like, you know, it's a joke. You know, she's lost that fight." And that can actually affect your legacy as well. So I liked the decision. And I thought, by the way, what I liked about the decision, and we don't see this very often, is, you know, the closeness of the cards. Draw, and one had it by, you know, 2 rounds and you know, a round and so forth. Like 1 round either way, and it's around the same number. What I hate in boxing is it's 118, 111, and the other guy's got it 118, 111 to the other fighter. How do you do that? I mean, even with Devin, you know, 116, 112, you know, that's wide for that kind of fight. But yeah, I think overall the judges got it spot on.
I want to get your opinion on Devin in a moment, but back to Katie. Would the rematch be at 140 or 135?
I think, again, knowing what she's like and knowing what, you know, Sal's like as well, I think they'll want it on the same terms. Because the problem is when you bring back someone down to your weight, everyone's going to say, well, you brought her down to, you know, maybe we do the rematch at 140 and if Katie wins, we do the rubber match at 135. I don't know. I mean, it's too early to say. It's the biggest fight in female boxing right now, the rematch between those two. So my gut feeling is she'll want to do it at 140. Obviously, she makes 135 easy. Chantelle hasn't boxed at 135 for a long time, but I expect her to make that weight if she wanted to. And the same thing with Bivol. You know, it's a chance for Chantelle to become undisputed at 135. So that might be an attraction to her.
So there's no indication yet which weight it would be at?
No. My gut feeling is 140. But we'll talk to the teams.
Is there any world where she fights someone else next? Serrano, Michaela
Katie?
Mayer? Yeah, Katie.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, all due respect to Michaela, that's not a fight that, you know, would interest Katie. But Serrano, you know, I mean, I just can't see it. Like, I can't see. It's going to eat her up so bad, Ariel. You know, it's like, you know, again, sorry to keep going about Canelo, but it's like the same.
Yeah.
Like, all these fights, all these options, and that's the one that he's the underdog in. Some great fights out there for Canelo. Benavidez, but he's the favourite in all of those. I know Benavidez is a great fight, but he's still the favourite in that fight. But he's a massive underdog against Dimitri Bivol. And the money will probably be smaller than some other fights. But it's just in his head. And it's the same thing with Katie. Like, she'll watch the fight back. She'll think, wow, I nearly won that fight. And I think I performed really badly for me. So I know I can beat her. And once she gets that in her head, it's game over.
And you think that the Cameron rematch is bigger than the Serrano rematch?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because, until you put that right, it's always there and it lingers on. And she won't allow that to not be put right or not attempt to put that right. She's beaten Amanda Serrano. She has one defeat in her career and she will do everything to avenge that.
Is there any world where Cameron says, all right, cool, we'll do this again, but it has to be in England? Can she even do that? Does she have that power?
Contractually, there's a lot in place that ultimately we have to go to where the revenue is going to be generated. And, I think Chantelle Cameron does deserve a UK fight at some point. But, you saw Saturday, compared to anything that England can deliver in terms of number on the gate, in terms of atmosphere. But there's certain things that I think Chantelle needs to be respected for, like this time. And this was so refreshing about the fight. Who walked first, whose name was on the poster, like all these things. She was the champion and Katie was defending it. And it was never even discussed there. It wasn't even like to be discussed. It was just, it's Katie Taylor. But now it should be Cameron against Taylor. She should walk second. She should have all the champions' requisites if it's going to be at 140, because she's earned that now. She's become a star in her own name. A lot of these fighters that you still need a dance partner. Chantelle Cameron against somebody else, still a big fight because she's a star, but it's never going to be as big as a fight that involves Katie Taylor. And those two together now can create the biggest fight in women's boxing.
When Serrano was booked against Hardy August 5th, I was like, well, there goes Croke Park in the fall. But now that it looks like you're going to do Cameron Taylor too, is it possible the rematch can be at Croke Park?
Maybe. I mean, again, it depends on timing. That's really September's kind of the latest that you can have that fight. I don't know. I think a stadium would be fun. But it's pretty good in there on Saturday, wasn't it? I mean, loved the arena. Just unbelievable. And one of the things that I enjoyed the most about Saturday was there was a 9,000 arena. At 6:30, 6:45, we had 7,000 people in there. Right, the main event was at 10:30, 10:45. Like when I walked in at 5:15, there was like 1,500, 2,000 people in there. Like they loved it. They loved it.
That's rare, right? In the UFC, that's not rare. Yeah.
Really? It's depressing in boxing. I've got to say, it's really depressing. And, you go up, even before a main event, the arena's half full and you go into the bars and they're all in the bars and it's like, come on, guys. And that's partly boxing's fault, maybe. But it's also just shows you the excitement. When you go to a city that's been starved of boxing, they definitely come in early. But when you go to a big fight like an O2 or, they just swarm in for the main event. And you're thinking, wow, you've missed so much action here. But that's not down to us to build the profile of the undercard and build the narrative of these fighters. So when someone buys a ticket for Taylor Cameron, they go, oh, look at Carty against McFarlane, these two heavyweight lumps having a tear up. I'm not missing that. I'm getting there at 7:00. So we've got to do better as well.
By the way, what is it like watching a Katie Taylor fight in Dublin right next to Conor McGregor? He seemed very animated from the other side when I was watching. What is that like?
He's just like, he was so like, when Gary Cully lost, he got up and he was like, he come right up. Why'd you put him in with him? I was like, well, sorry. He was like, he's a puncher. I said, yeah. He said, it's his homecoming in Ireland. You should have given him a can. I was like, that guy's lost 3 of the last. Like he was, Gary Cully was like 50-1 on to win that fight. He traded with his chin in it. And then I'm thinking, oh God, please, Katie, don't lose. And then he was gutted when Katie lost. All the Irish were, but he was getting up. He was banging the canvas during the fight. But listen, he was a real gem to have involved in the promotion. Passionate, obviously from a profile point of view, fantastic. loads of energy. You know, I was saying the other day, probably one of the most recognisable people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Love it or hate it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean,
and genuinely
everybody
loves
knows.
her. Like, he loves her.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. And so does everyone. You know, we said, Ariel, like, when have you ever known? Like, tell me one fighter, one MMA fight, like whatever it is, where literally no one dislikes. Like, there's so much hatred in the world, especially on social media, that someone might go, oh, I'm not really a Katie Taylor fan, but like nearly everyone in the world would say, I can't stand that Ariel Helwani. You know, he's just got that face I just want to smash. You know what I mean? Or Eddie Hearn, what a knob this guy is. I can't stand it. But with her, there is literally no one in the world that would ever say that. And she's so loved. And I spoke to someone today, one of the Irish media, who's just like, it's like a day of mourning. Yesterday. Like, and even today, people are just like, so that's what it means to him.
Have you gotten a lot of shit from your boxing promoter friends? Because they all said, oh, you screwed up Canelo when you booked him against Bivol. Are you getting it now for this one? I haven't seen it. Are they coming after you?
Right. Yeah. Just, Eddie Hearn got one of his fighters beat. It's like, you know, and then you put on a one-sided fight and it's like, oh, Eddie Hearn never puts his fighters in deep. So, like, if you listen to that, then I want great fights. That's what creates, you know, big numbers. That's what creates ticket sales. That's what creates all those things. And when it's a rubbish fight, the commercial side's rubbish. So really, and also, by the way, if you ain't good enough, you don't win. You know, and that's really the situation in life, in business, in sport. If you're not good enough, you win. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you get beat. You know, but when Canelo Alvarez phones me up and says, listen, me and Eddie Reynoso want to fight Dimitri Bivol, go and get it done. I don't start going, oh, hang on a minute, Sal, are you sure about this? You just go, shut up, go and do your job. And that's the same thing. Katie Taylor says, I want Chantelle Cameron on May 20th. No problem. I'll go and deliver it for you.
So after,
by the way, if you're not good, you lose.
After a night like that, you really stay up to watch Haney Lomachenko? You're not exhausted?
You know what? I actually had a flight out of there at I had to get up at 4:45 in the morning. So I got back, I didn't get back to the room till, 2 or 2:30. And I was like trying to stay up. I ended up probably getting like half an hour sleep, but I was like following it. I didn't watch it. I followed it on Twitter. I quite like that way. I don't know, maybe it's a little bit sick, but it's like go to someone's scorecards. And that was the one fight that I saw that I've never seen so many different scorecards. So like on one, I think I had Mike Coppinger or Dan Raphael or something like that. And I was just refreshing their stuff. And it was like 4-0 Haney. And then someone else is like 3-1 Lomachenko. And I'm like, what? I don't really know what I'm watching, you know, and then people so passionate about, Lomachenko's won that easy. Oh, I've got Haney. I'm like, so I didn't actually, I've seen heavy highlights of the fight. So I actually haven't watched the rounds yet, but it sounds like a really close fight, you know. I mean, I saw Aaron, who is probably the funniest person I've ever seen in my life, who just is so, like, he could not care less. Do you know what I mean? And I guess at 93 or whatever he is, why would you? And he like goes up to the press conference and leans forward to Lomachenko. Like Haney's like 3 seats down. And obviously he doesn't realise all the mics are on as well. And he's like, you won that fight easy. What a joke. You know, and like Loma's like, thank you. And Devin's sort of sitting there going, nice, thanks. Yeah. Glad I'm a free agent.
Yeah.
You know, but 2 elite fighters. I mean, I probably wasn't the most exciting fight, but from a boxing fan, unbelievable skill sets. Like, you know, I was super high level, but I think the problem is in boxing when you know, it's like Stephen A. Smith. Oh, this is terrible. What a robbery. So how's it a robbery? You've got half the people thought Devin Haney won, half the people thought Lomachenko won, or even if it's 60-40. Well, how did you score it, Stephen? Oh, I had it easy, 115, 113 for Loma. What are you talking about? It's 1 round away from a draw.
Right.
But, you know, it's not. And when there's a fight like that, there's so many things to consider. And scoring's subjective, ultimately. And you can't, you know, in a fight where you can barely split them, you know, and you got 3 judges there, you know, who you know, and also I heard Aaron's comments, which again was hilarious because this was actually to the media, which is, you know, you got to think, why was there 3 American judges? You know, when it's an American fight and a Ukraine fight. So, well, Bob, you know why? Because it's in the Nevada. and they always insist on Nevada judges. He knows that. But it's like, that is true. Some commissions will only allow local judges, and I don't agree with that. How can you be fighting an American fighter from Las Vegas and have 3 judges there from Las Vegas? I don't know, but I'm pleased for Devin because we represented him for a long time, and I knew how good he is, and he's now established himself as the number 1 in the world.
You mentioned he's a free agent. Is there any chance he goes back to Matchroom? I know there's reports out there that he may have agreed to a new 2-fight deal with Top Rank. Is there any chance he goes with you next?
I think he'd like to, from a sort of personable point of view. I mean, they're now paying him a lot of money. It's going to be interesting to see what the numbers spit out, because God, Jesus, I paid Devin an absolute fortune. He hit a beautiful time with us. Great time for DAZN. He was a good acquisition for us, but he never really hit the numbers at that stage that the purses warranted. Now, I think he made $4 million on Saturday plus upside. Wow. But the arena looked packed. But Lomachenko is a big draw, and now it's going to be interesting to see. But you can't deny Haney's star value is growing. He went to Australia, won out there. Now he's beaten Lomachenko on ESPN pay-per-view. I guess the pay-per-view heads are going to be giving us some information real soon as to the vast, diverseness of the pay-per-view numbers, which will probably range from 90,000 to 300,000. Right. Someone's right, and only a few people will know.
Okay, so no chance he resigns with you?
Yeah, I think we've got Regis Prograis. Well, I don't see him staying at 135 for very long. Okay, but when you look at the lure that Top Rank can have with him, Shakur Stevenson, great fight. Also Josh Taylor or Teofimo Lopez, the winner at 140. I think he may. His dad is an interesting guy, Bill Haney. We love him, and he's going to really feel like he can maneuver Devin. Probably, if I was Devin, I'd probably consider free agency. In a similar way to Canelo Alvarez. I mean, he doesn't have the same kind of value as Canelo Alvarez, but also when you look at the fights that are available to him, you've got a situation where you've got Regis Prograis, you've got at 140 with us, you've got Shakur Stevenson, or you've got the winner of Teofimo and Josh Taylor with Top Rank. You've got Gervonta Davis at PBC. That's a big fight. So I'd be careful if I was him to align himself too deeply, because I think the ability, if he's really, like we say, if he's chasing greatness, he needs to secure all those fights that we just mentioned. So, I think he'd be in a great spot around that weight class to maybe take that position.
2 last quick ones. So no chance Canelo Benavidez next. I saw the photos online this weekend.
Yeah, I think if the ultimately the fight they want is Dimitri Bivol, and if we can't deliver that fight, that brings other fights into play. Benavidez, and saw Eddie Reynoso with Sam Leskovich to talk about the possibility of maybe a Benavidez fight. I think they're just talking to people to see if we can't get Bivol into the fight, what we're going to do. I mean, we want to build that Edgar Berlanga fight, but he's still got Jason Quigley on June 24th and probably needs one more to sort of cement himself as a legit contender. But the Benavidez fight's a big fight, but he's just hell-bent on revenge. He's so desperate to fight Dimitri Bivol, and I'll take my hat off to him.
And last one, I'm the second biggest Nottingham Forest fan on the planet. Number 2, very respectfully to the great Leigh Wood, who returns on Saturday. Just 3 months after their great fight. It's a quick turnaround. I'm a little nervous for Leigh. Should I be nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous. I mean, look, the first fight was incredible. Leigh Wood against Mauricio Lara. Leigh Wood was winning the fight. He boxed beautifully, got carried away, bit off a little bit too much, got hit with a huge left hook. Ben Davison threw the towel in, I think rightfully so. A lot of, talk about that. And within the rematch clause was 90 days. So I said to Leigh, look, you can let Mauricio Lara fight Josh Warrington and you can have the winner of that fight. No, I want him now. I can beat him. He's training really hard. But Mauricio Lara all of a sudden flies in. I just, saw him flying to Manchester. Looks great. I mean, he's hitting the pads, this kid. I think this could be one of the best Mexican fighters out there now, pound for pound. So exciting. But Leigh Wood and Ben Davison are so confident in this fight. And it's going to be a war on Saturday on DAZN. Just coming off a great run, Errol. AJ in London, Joe Caldina beating Rakhimov in a tremendous fight, Canelo Alvarez in Guadalajara, Katie Taylor in Dublin, and now this big fight on Saturday. So, But more importantly, Ariel, only a week to go after that till the darts at Madison Square Garden. Are you ready?
You know yourself. Oh my God.
Are you ready for a moment of sporting history in the United States of America? Because I think this is the moment. This is the event, and you are the man that is going to explode this great sport. Because this sport, we're selling 10, 12, 15,000 in Warsaw, in Germany, in Amsterdam, and of course the UK. We're going to be sold out at Madison Square Garden for this event. I mean, many say it's because of you.
There's some talk of me being sort of like a quasi-MC host of the event. We're not sure if we can come to the right number, but there's some talk.
I am insisting on the involvement. As chairman of the PDC, actually.
Oh, wow.
I am insisting on the involvement of Ariel Helwani.
Will you be there?
Budget is a problem.
Yeah.
Because we all know how expensive you're getting.
That is true. Rightfully so.
There is a little birdie told me that you can confirm whether this is true or not. That when you did that little gig for DAZN in Dublin, Ireland, that there was a lot of last-minute negotiations regarding a private jet. I thought that was too much. I mean, I felt business class travel, if it's good enough for me, it has to be good enough for you. But there are people talking now. I said, we had a meeting today and everyone was like, Ariel was brilliant. We've got to get him involved more in the show. Everyone said he's expensive. And they said, and he's just with the private jet request. I was like, whoa. What private jet request?
Just look at the numbers. Do you see the new YouTube numbers? I mean, they speak for themselves, Eddie. I mean, you know yourself.
But he said, what you're concerned about now is to be fresh at every destination. You can't have, obviously, with the way the fans mob you at these airports and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
I think you said draining or something like that. And I understand it. I understand it. But that's something that I don't know if we can accommodate. And that's great that the darts is in New York. So it's more local.
Will you be
there? And we can just go with the Escalade.
Will you be there?
I'm trying to be there. It's the week between. I'm trying to be there.
We'll see. Barry will be there. Bozzer?
Yes, he will be. Yeah, he will be.
Legend. I'd like to have him in studio. I'm inviting him in studio. Please let him know if you speak to him.
No, don't do that. He says he's worse than Bob Arum. He'll say whatever.
I can't wait. It was a lovely week. Hope to do it again. Thank you so much, Eddie. Congrats on a great weekend, and good luck this weekend in Manchester for Wood Lara Tour, Lara Wood 2. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
All right, there he is. Eddie Hearn joining us, the head man over at Matchroom. And no, I cannot confirm those PJ rumors, although I would love a PJ, and I feel like I've earned it.